Welcome to Pride in Parsippany. I'm your host, Mayor James Barberio, and today I have with me our Animal Control Officer for the last 25 years, Chris Dikovics. Welcome to the show, Chris.
It's a pleasure to be here,
It's
Mayor.
great to have you. Chris,
Thank
you're a
you.
good man. We have Chris is a very outgoing individual, and I know that you and I have a really good relationship, and
Yes, sir.
you do great things for the town. First of all, you must have a lot of stories to tell us about the animal control and
sure.
such a long career. And why don't you just give us a little history of how the shelter evolved?
Well, the shelter was first built in 1967, and it was primarily for dogs. There was no real emphasis on taking in cats. By 1973, we have documentation that we were doing better than 605 dogs impounded in a single year through the educational efforts of the humane groups, Humane Society, etc. People are keeping their pets. They're not allowing them to run at large. They're spaying and neutering these animals. And last year we did 89 dogs. And by and large, they were all returned to their owners.
That's good.
We had some renovations. We had the original building renovated in 2010 with new ceilings, new ventilation. We had new cages put in. We had the same original cages since 1967. And it's proved to be quite an addition to the township facility. In 2007, we had a new cat facility constructed. We had a trailer that was rented by our engineering department, purchased by our engineering department, and then given to the Department of Public Works. In 1993, we got this trailer to house cats, and we utilized it from 1993 until 2007. So I think the taxpayers got a lot of bang for their buck out of that trailer.
So what's the capacity of the facility? Just like the dog facility alone, it can hold 605.
Pardon me?
How many dogs can there are?
With the renovation in 2010 to the dog kennel, we had to include a sick room that cut back on our ability to handle dogs. We could have, prior to 2010, handled approximately 18 dogs. Now we can handle about 14.
Okay. Yeah, I was in there when that dog, the pit bull, was left on the front stoop. Tell you, the facility's pretty clean and everything like that. I was pretty impressed.
Well, cleanliness is next to godliness.
I still wouldn't eat off the floor, but still.
Well, we want to make sure that when a resident's pet is picked up running at large, it doesn't become ill because of bad sanitation and cleanliness in the shelter.
Can you tell the residents the process of getting a dog license?
Dog licensing was incorporated in the state in 1941, and this was to ensure that all dogs had rabies shots. We had a terrible outbreak of canine rabies in the late 30s. And in order to ensure these dogs getting shots, they instituted licensing. All dogs over 6 months of age must be licensed, and they must have a current rabies shot. What's interesting is the rabies shot must be valid until November of the year. The process is actually handled by our clerk's office. They do a very good job. And licenses are due during the month of January, so that everything should be in order by the end of February for the licensing of dogs.
Now, I know there's laws, but what happens if a dog doesn't have a license and or an old license that's not renewed, and you find the dog.
Okay, any dog that can't be identified by tags, or now the very modern chip that is inserted in the skin of the dog behind the neck, must be held for 7 days. This goes back to the rabies epidemic of the late 30s and early 40s. This is to identify any disease and to give a dog's owner a chance to reclaim the dog. When we do find the owner, it's necessary for them to get a license in order to reclaim their dog.
Right. Let me ask you this question, and this is just something that's popped in my head. I know you have to wait 7 days to see if the dog has rabies.
Yeah.
How would you know? I mean, what are the symptoms? I mean, the symptoms I know are, foaming in the mouth, but I mean, isn't there only one way to tell if a dog has rabies or an animal?
Well, I'm going to go back to my very early education in animal control. The professor, Dr. Weicker in Kane College, said the only way you can tell is when the state laboratory does the test and confirms it has rabies. If we had a dog that started to act unusual, we would keep it at least 7 or 8 days. The basic symptoms of rabies start with a loss of appetite, agitated behavior, then it can go into an aggressive mode, aggressive behavior, then paralysis. So this takes 10 days for this to go through.
So that's why the 7, then you get to see those. That's what I was wondering. I mean, I know.
And this also applies to cats.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, and we have a lot of cats in town.
Well, one thing that we have to remember in the state of New Jersey, besides raccoons and skunks, cats are about the 3rd highest carrier of rabies. And they are the #1 carrier of rabies in domestic animals. We have a good population of cats. The thing that we have to emphasize with our residents is not to feed these outdoor cats, and to call us before a problem gets out of control.
Yeah, because cats are a free-roaming animal. I mean, it's not.
That's a very wise observation.
Yeah,
the laws that apply to dogs, such as running at large, when Fido's running down North Beverwick and you're watching a Yankee game, you are legally responsible and can receive a summons for running at large. If a cat goes into adjoining backyards, there's no law to prohibit this.
Right.
So they are what's known as a free-roaming domestic animal.
Yeah, because I mean, and how do you? Now I don't know if this is still the law, but you can't like license them, tag them, all right? Because being free-roaming animals, I guess the collar can get caught in a tree or a limb. I mean, some people do have cats have collars, but how do you license cats?
That's an excellent question, and I could talk a whole show just on licensing of cats. And I'm sure in 1941, when they proposed dog collars and licensing for dogs, there were many people that said, oh, the dogs will hang themselves, they'll get caught and whatnot. We have to at least get people to put collars on their cats and to have identification on their cats, which would include a rabies shot. And then someday it's going to be licensing.
Okay, so cats aren't licensed right now?
Not at this time. I think that the foundation of reducing the number of cats in the township of Parsippany is going to be licensing them.
Right. Listen, I love animals, but I tell you this, since I've been, not mayor, but since I was a councilman, I educated myself on it, and I have to tell you, I understand why we have the no-feed ordinance.
Yeah.
Because some animals, when you feed them, they come back. and
yeah.
they know this is where they're going to get their bread and butter, and
Sure.
they'll come, and they don't just come alone.
Well,
That's what I find when you're
yeah.
looking at certain animals, cats, they're like a colony.
Well, certainly everyone wants to be kind to
Right.
animals. So people will see a cat it's hanging around in the backyard for a day. They want to give it food. They want to give it milk, which really shouldn't, but they want to feed it. And the cat comes back. And the odors of the food attract other cats, and before you know it, you have several cats showing up, and it's going to result in a litter of kittens before you know it.
Well, as we're here, you want to bring the kittens that we have with us up?
Oh, sure.
Want to bring them up, Michelle? We have kittens with us today, and everybody likes kittens. But remember, they turn into cats.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, thank you.
There we go.
I have some 3-week-old kittens.
Wow.
My assistant, Heidi, got them from off of Park Road, and they were about 2 days old. At this time, they are approximately 3 weeks old.
Wow. Hey there.
And this is a nice little gray cat. Sometimes they can be called Russian blues when they're gray like that. And this little white kitten, it's got 2 little spots on its head. Kind of like
Where I just grabbed the white one.
Oh, sure.
You give me the white one first. Okay, come on, guys. Don't. It's okay. I'm a friendly mayor. Wow, look how tiny they are.
Yeah.
Well, I have a Chihuahua. You'll be bigger than him soon.
Yeah.
So let me see. Want to say hi to our residents?
Yeah. Say hi.
And I know kittens will probably get adopted pretty
Oh,
quick.
sure. We have
Yeah, that's
a
right,
wonderful
Are
adoption
you
rate.
tired?
We offer all of our cats altered, up to date on the age-appropriate shots, dewormed. Of course, they're not going to have any fleas,
Right.
and we only ask a $35 donation.
Now these cats here, you have this. Oh, you just find them. There's no mother.
Oh, we have the mother.
Oh, you have the mother.
My
Wow.
assistants were able to capture the mother. Oftentimes, the mother will run away, and we will set up a live trap with the kittens in the back of the live trap. And when the mother comes, we're able to catch the mother in the trap as well. Then we can place the mother as well as the kittens in a cage, and as time goes by, we can socialize the kittens and get them ready for adoption.
Wow. I never owned a cat in my life, but I can see why people would want them when you.
My family adopted 2 kittens
Okay,
this
baby.
summer.
It's all right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and since the year 2000, we've adopted 3 cats, and then we have 2 new ones. So now we're down to 3 right now.
Okay.
Two of them passed away of old age.
No, one thing about cats, they're keen and smart.
When you get a kitten this young, and you really socialize it and have it spend a lot of time with a human being,
Right.
it can be every bit as affectionate as a dog.
Yes, I understand. Don't worry, I'm not going to raise your taxes. Okay. Oh, you got good claws there. Yes, that's okay. That's all right. Right by the American flag. I like that.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to give you back to your dad. That's okay. Well, he's loud for a little. Oh, she. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't ignoring you. Don't worry. Okay.
Little fat guy. This is a little girl.
Oh. It's okay.
Maybe we could call her Buttons.
Buttons and.
For the, you know. The
Well, like
spots
Rocky,
on
Cuff
her.
and Link.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Oh, squeak, squeak, squeak.
Thank you, Chris. That's nice.
Oh, you're welcome. We have a good supply of kittens at the shelter, and the first ones should be ready for adoption within 2 weeks or so.
Wow. Well, it was really nice to see the kittens. And I appreciate you bringing them on the
Sure.
show. But how does the day of an animal control officer begin?
Well, it varies depending upon who the animal control officer is. We start our assistants at 7:30 in the morning. They come into the shelter. First they check the message machine to see if there's really anything that needs instant attention. If there's nothing that really needs to be attended to immediately, they'll begin feeding the various animals, whether it's dogs or cats. And then after the animals have eaten, they'll begin the cleaning processes. The cat cages, the cats are removed, the cage is disinfected, new cat litter is put in, and a new bedding is put in for the cats. The same basic techniques are used for the dogs. The dogs are taken out of the individual cages and runs. They're disinfected, and then the bedding is replaced and the dogs are put back in the particular run. That'll take up to 10:30 in the morning. After 10:30, I come in at 10:30. I have a staggered shift. At 10:30, they begin field work, which may include checking up on barking dog complaints, if there's cats that need to be captured, or various complaints from the residents, they'll be attended to. As I said, my day starts at 10:30. My assistants take lunch approximately noontime. They come back to the shelter, and then they once again address the problems that are in the field. I'll take lunch around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My assistants come back to the shelter for what we have public shelter hours from 3 until 5. And at this time, they usually go back into the cattery and socialize kittens, so that the kittens that come in from the field have a real intimate knowledge of human beings. They're not scared of them. They're well socialized. My assistants go home at 5 o'clock. My shift goes until 7. I can patrol the parks, the dog parks, the golf course, where I
Geese.
catch the people running their dogs off
Oh,
the
really?
leash.
That too. Yes,
and,
that's right. Yeah.
And I can go to people's homes where there are problems that need to be addressed, and when they were visited during the day, they were not at home, they were at work. We have an officer on call from 7 o'clock in the evening until 7:30 the next morning for any type of emergency situation that can come up.
Now well, I know there's all these types of services and that the animal control that you offer, rabies clinics and all that kind of. Can you explain some of the services that are offered to our residents?
Well, you know, the part of the fee for the dog license is retained by the town to offset the cost of animal control, and there is a small fee that goes to the State Department of Health. That money is used to buy rabies vaccinations, And the township, in the beginning of November, offers free rabies shots for both cats and dogs. And we time it to November so that you can have a valid rabies shot when you apply for your license.
Right. Now, I know you talked about adoptions, and there's not a fee, but there's a donation someone could make.
Yeah.
What now? Let's say, for instance, my dog gets loose, even though my dog is licensed, and I'm away or something, and you take care of the dog, and until I come and
Sure.
do I get charged anything for, because you service the dog and you?
Sure. I have to admit that the residents are very prompt picking up their dogs.
Right.
I don't believe many dogs stay more than 2 days.
Right.
There is an initial $35 impound fee. This is for the initial pickup. Once the dog enters our animal shelter and is occupying quarters, this $35 impound fee takes place. Now we have the maintenance fee. This is $15 a day. This includes an administrative charge. This covers the cost of soap, water, the animal control officer's time to take care of the cleaning of the cage as well as the food. And as I say, our residents are very prompt on picking up the dogs. This impound fee also applies to cats. We do impound cats, and we find that people are calling and saying, my goodness, that's my cat. I don't know how it got in the shelter, and we inform them we need to collect the impound fee as well as a maintenance fee.
I mean, we're running out of time. The sponsor just told me, but that being said, there's one question I do want to ask you, and probably have you back, hopefully, before you retire, because I have a lot more questions. One thing I've been noticing, although they're cute animals, they look cute, is the bear population, and there has been a lot of bear sightings in Parsippany and throughout all Morris County. And although they seem to be friendly animals, they're very powerful animals, very strong animals. And I know you've encountered many bears.
Yeah.
I was out. What is how is this all handled? Because it's becoming more like a daily routine with bears.
Well, the public has been almost educated to accept them. They don't react as they did in the late 90s on the presence of these bears. There are several police officers that have been trained by the Fish and Game Department to respond to bear complaints. And they evaluate the situation. Is the bear just passing through? Low priority call. Is the bear just kind of a nuisance? Is he getting into garbage cans that should be covered or perhaps kept in a garage? And then there is the category of bear that has killed a domestic animal or has entered a home. And the police are trained to handle that. They utilize animal control when we have one that has gotten into a position that is dangerous to the public and dangerous to the bear. And the Fish and Game Department responds with technicians that are trained to tranquilize the bear. It's really very interesting. They're very skillful. And animal control assists with crowd control and things like that. My theory is that when the young bears in the Picatinny Arsenal area and the heavy woods up into Jefferson want to breed at this time of year, as they begin, some of them, to move to the east and to the south, they encounter the sound walls along Route 80. And they can't cross because of the traffic, they can't cross because of the sound wall, and they wind up traveling through Denville and Mountain Lakes, And then when they get into the neighborhood, the Intervale neighborhood, which has always had bear issues, they encounter the sound wall on 287.
Right.
And they are stuck in our neighborhood. And they wander off. By and large, they have not really caused many problems. I can only think of one home entry since the late 90s, and that was in Rainbow Lakes.
Well, I'm going to close it out. Last year, I think it was, I don't know if it was September or November, I get a call at Town Hall from a friend, and he says to me, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What? What happened?" I'm in the parking lot of Home Depot, ready to go in to the garden area, and a bear just walked in.
Yeah.
And everybody's scattered, of course.
Yep.
And I was there, and the police, they're very highly trained, and it wasn't an aggressive bear, and the bear went into the back, climbed over the fence, and went back into the woods. But it took a while, because the bear had all the food, bird seed in the back.
Sure.
And it was, but it was, although it was kind of funny, but it was just like, but the bear, I had a good look at it, very mild mannered, didn't have any aggression whatsoever.
Yeah.
But don't forget, I was at a good distance. I wasn't going to go pet it. But anyway, Chris, I want to thank you for being on the show, Pride and Parsippany.
No, thank you, Mayor,
and 25 years of service. Thank you, because it means a lot to me as a mayor that although you work very hard, you're also committed to the community, and you live in the community as well. So
I think that's very important, to be a part of the community.
Yep, you are, and you probably know the bears more than anybody because they're in your neighborhood over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Pride and Parsippany. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and God bless you all.